Hi, I'm Sai, and today I'm going to be doing an update review of the Lumen Metabolic Coach. It's supposed to help you to become more metabolically flexible. A lot of people use it because they want to lose weight, but there's other things that you can use it for. And the reason this is an update review is because my first review I was following primarily a ketogenic diet, and the Lumen is not really for people who are in ketosis. If you're following a ketogenic diet and you want to transition off of it, then they actually have a plan for you to transition away from being keto. That being said, the Lumen won't tell you if you're in ketosis, and it's more about developing metabolic flexibility, and they use something called carb cycling, and they give you recommendations of how many macros you should have, how much protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and also even meal plans through the app. A lot of people want to know, do you have to have the app? And the answer is, if you want to make the most out of the Lumen, you are going to want to have the app, and you are going to have to pay a monthly or a yearly subscription fee for it. That being said, after your first month, if you didn't want to keep the app, you could still get measurements that go from 1 to 5 that tell you whether you're burning fats or carbohydrates more, or somewhere in the middle, or both. The bottom line is that there are more purposes than just weight loss that you can use it for, and I'm going to show you here in just a minute. By the end of this video, I will have already gone through stopping the ketogenic diet, going into a very high carb diet for a couple of weeks, and then specifically trying to follow the macros that are recommended by the Lumen. And I think you're going to know if this device is for you or not by the end of this video. But I'm going to quickly just show you how it works. So this morning I already used the Lumen once, and that was to see what I was burning when I woke up, either carbohydrates or fat. Now I did a walk, and that's considered a workout. I'm going to measure my post-workout numbers to see if I'm burning more carbohydrates or fat. I'm expecting that I'm going to be in fat burning mode at this point, which would be a 1 to 2. And for your post-workout, you want to do it about a half hour after you finish working out. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and show you. First, you have this cap on here, and you take it off, and you have your power button here. Turn it on, and you can see inside the app that it shows that we're connected. My power is on. And then I'm going to go ahead and sit up nice and straight, because that's what you need to do for your breaths. And I'm going to click on these lines down below here. Next to each type of measurement, there's this little symbol here, and that's what you push on anytime that you want to have a measurement. And so I'm going to go ahead and go post-workout, and I'll add today's workout. And it is walking, and it was approximately 25 minutes. I could put in other things, obviously. And so I'm going to go ahead. I'm ready. I'm sitting up tall. I say, let's go.
Inhale
and it tells me what to do.
Your Lumen. Hold your breath. Exhale in 3, 2, 1.
And that's all there is to it. You breathe into it for how long it tells you to. You hold your breath for how long it tells you to, and then you breathe out of it for how long it tells you to. And it shows you where it wants this little ball in the app to be, and that's what you aim for. And so you can see I'm at a 2, and it says that I'm shifting toward fat burn, and that's kind of what I've been for this whole week, is a 1 to 2. That's going to be different for you, especially if you're not closer to a ketogenic or a low carbohydrate diet. So as long as we're talking about how to use the Lumen, a lot of people are wondering if it's going to be frustrating for them to figure out how to blow the right amount and inhale the right amount. And I would say that for most people, it's going to be a relatively quick adjustment. I haven't failed at a breath since the first day I used this thing. I only failed the first few times I used it. So it's pretty simple to get used to. Main thing is sitting up straight and relaxing, and you're going to be able to figure out the breath. That being said, once I've taken my breath, it tells me whether I'm burning more fat, more carbohydrates, and it'll tell you the percentages. And then it will also give you ideas of what you can do next. So for example, it might tell me something about what my breath means. And at that 2, it says, you're burning mostly fat, or you're shifting toward fat burn. Then it's telling me to use foods high in coenzyme Q10. So you don't necessarily need to do something like that. I think what would be most important, if you really want to get the most out of this thing, is to follow what the recommendations are regarding the macros: protein, carbohydrates and fats, and make sure that you blow in it several times a day. But the most important breath of the day is going to be your morning breath, and they're going to give you what's called a flex score, and that is supposed to tell you how metabolically flexible you are, and that doesn't come for about 10 days if I'm thinking about it right, and I still haven't gotten mine, but you're going to see what mine is during this video. So that means that I had told you that the Lumen is about more than just losing weight. So let me go ahead and show you. When you first get the app, you're going to have to put in your specific settings. And so I can see what those settings are in mine, and I can show you what those are by clicking on the three little lines on the right hand bottom corner of the app. When I get in there, I'll see nutrition, movement, sleep, and things like that. You'll also see above those your personal info. So if I click on that, you can see that the goal that I set up was healthy weight loss. But if I click on that, you can see it says healthy weight loss, fitness performance, metabolic health. So let's just click through those really quick to show you what those are. So the fitness performance, I could say continue, and it will say increase endurance, improve body composition, build muscle mass. So those could be one of your presets. Metabolic health, say continue, and I didn't even realize that was what was going to happen. I guess I just set it for metabolic health rather than fitness performance or healthy weight loss, but I am specifically doing healthy weight loss. So I'll click back into healthy weight loss, say continue. So it's not showing me right now because mine's already set up, but it's going to give you options of many diet types that you might currently be on. And it even offers the option of choosing ketogenic diet transition. So you could pick that like I did, for example, if you were following a keto diet and you want to try something different like metabolic flexibility. So that's some of the basics, but you can see I've got my flex progress. I still have a few more days before I can unlock my flex score. And then if I go down here, you can see my weeks. You can see last week I was mainly 1, 2, or 3 as opposed to a 4 or a 5. So that shows you that I'm mostly burning fats rather than carbohydrates. And you can see the current week, which is this one right here. And I'm pretty much almost exclusively burning fat right now. I also want to show you in the nutrition area, you can log your foods in this app, or you can connect something like MyFitnessPal, and that will show you your macros inside the app. And so you can see here, if I go ahead and say see all data, then it tells me my different days. I can go back to yesterday, see exactly what I ate and the day before that. And you can see here that there are recommendations. So yesterday or the day before yesterday, I had 12 grams of carbohydrates, but it was recommended that I have 125. So in this video, you're going to see me transition out of this really low carb diet and see what changes with my flexibility. See if I'm able, for example, to handle a high amount of carbohydrates or not, and if it helps me as we go forward trying out their specific recommendations to be pretty flexible. So in this video, I'm going to update you with my progress and what's happening, and at the end, you're going to have a good idea of whether or not the Lumen is for you.
So I'm getting my first flex score, so I thought we'd go through it together. Basically, it says that I have an 18, high flexibility. Your body is at peak metabolic flexibility. It's great at shifting between fat and carb burn with fat as the main fuel source. So I can dive deeper by saying next or clicking on dive deeper. You can read here. It says improved weight loss, improved fitness performance, reduced inflammation, enhanced cognitive function, better mood, sleep, and resilience, long-term health benefits. Okay, say next. Shows my week. So I didn't follow the recommendations. I was still doing keto, which this is my last day of doing keto. I lost 6.8 pounds since I started. That is true. Just thought I'd share that with you.
Okay. So it's a different day, and it is kind of exciting for me. And I'm going to share what I'm starting now that I mentioned before. But before we get into that, I did mention that if you were in your More tab and under your personal info, and you went to the healthy weight loss, and then you could choose fitness performance or metabolic health. And then when you choose those things, you have other options. So for me, the healthy weight loss was specifically a keto transition diet, since I've been on a ketogenic diet. And I couldn't show you though the options, but I did figure out where to find the options. So when you're in your More tab, you click on nutrition, and then if you scroll down, it says nutrition settings. And that's where you can see what kind of a diet you're on. And so you see that I have been doing the keto. And now, since I'm changing up my diet, I am going to switch to I eat everything. And this is where I start my super high carb week, where I'm going to eat no fat and a lot of carbohydrates and a good amount of protein. And we're going to see
how the Lumen responds to me, but I am going to go ahead and click save on I Eat Everything. So this is an update. It might change how the Lumen targets me as far as my macronutrition recommendations go. Maybe they're going to recommend that I eat higher amounts of carbohydrates now, but we'll have to see. I'm not going to follow their recommendations exactly right now. That's still coming in this video. But for now, we're just going to experiment and see if it shows that I'm flexible going between burning fats and carbohydrates. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take my first reading as of changing my diet. And I did have 4 tablespoons of sugar. It was organic this morning. I know a lot of you might not take me seriously after this, but I'm doing an experiment. But I woke up in a carbohydrate burn, whereas the rest of the week, I pretty much woke up in mostly a fat burn. So what I want to see is if I was actually just in ketosis and it had mistaken me waking up in carbohydrate burn because I was in ketosis, or if I was really just burning carbohydrates when I woke up. I hope that makes sense. But what I'm going to do, since I did eat those 4 tablespoons of sugar about a half hour to 45 minutes ago, and then I took a walk right away, I'm first going to take a measurement for after my walk and see if I'm still in carbohydrate burn or if I switch to a fat burn in spite of the carbohydrates. And then later today, I'm going to be taking another measurement, maybe in another half hour, which is going to actually measure the effects of those carbohydrates more than 60 minutes after I ate them. But let's go ahead and do this first breath with the Lumen after switching from a ketogenic diet to a high carbohydrate, high protein diet. Go to my home settings, get my Lumen turned on, and it's turned on. I'll say take a breath, and this is going to be my post-workout, which is my walk, and I'll add today's workout, and I'm going to put in the duration of the walk, which was about 30 minutes, and say done, and say next, and we're getting ready. It's going to be interesting to see.
Inhale deeply through your lumen. Hold your breath. Exhale in 3, 2, 1.
All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm still burning carbohydrates, but I'm burning more fat than carbohydrates. So I think this is a result of me eating those carbohydrates, and I think I probably was in ketosis when it said that I was burning carbohydrates this morning, but we'll see as we get more into eating this way.
So I'd say that my suspicions that I was in ketosis earlier and that's why I got a high reading are probably confirmed. And the reason I say that is because I have had some food pretty much all day long and I am, as of my last reading, back down to a 1. And I'm about to take another reading, which is for an hour after eating a snack. And I'm guessing I'm going to blow a 1 again, which means that I'm burning fat. So it seems like my body is either very flexible or I actually was in ketosis earlier. But let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to go ahead and let them know I want to take a breath. And I will put in my post meal and I'll call it a snack because it was a couple of bananas. Say next, turn my Lumen on and say let's go.
Inhale deeply through your lumen. Hold your breath. Exhale in 3, 2, 1.
All right, let's see what my measurement is. And it is a 1, so I'm burning fat right now, which is awesome because I'm assuming that because I'm burning fat, even though I had bananas an hour ago and I was most likely in ketosis earlier and I've eaten a decent amount of sugar, the fact that I'm still burning fat makes me feel like, okay, I must be doing all right. So I'll keep you updated.
So I just finished 2 weeks of the sugar diet using the Lumen, and I'm about to transition into what Lumen recommends for a little bit, which will be the first time that I have completely done that since I was doing a keto diet and then I was doing the sugar diet after a protein sparing modified fast. So basically 3 different ways that I've been eating. Now I'm going to start doing what Lumen recommends for right now. And I just wanted to show you, if we look at me, you can see the dates that start from April 7th to April 13th, I was mostly burning fat on a keto style or a low carb diet, and that was also true for the week of April 14th through April 20th. And you can see by the 1s and 2s that I woke up in fat burning mode a lot. Then by the next week of April 21st to April 27th, when I was on the sugar diet, I didn't quite wake up in fat burning mode as much, and you can see I was also hitting the 4s more often during the day or when I woke up, which means that I was in more carb burning mode. And then in this final week, I woke up most days on 3s, burning something between carbs and fats. And one day I think I even woke up as a 5, which you can see there. And then today was the first day I woke up as a 1, but I also woke up as a 2 yesterday, which are fat burning mode. So I did manage to wake up for those 2 days in fat burning mode, even though I was eating a high sugar or high carbohydrate diet. So it'll be very interesting to see also how my metabolic flexibility score changes as I go into this coming week, starting today, which I am going to be doing more keto style. So I also want to do this in front of you since I had switched the way that I had my recommendations coming from a keto style diet, which was meant to be transitioned off of, to I eat anything. I'm going to go back into the menu, and I am going to go into nutrition, and I'm going to go into nutrition settings, and where it says I eat everything, I am switching back to keto, and as you've seen before, for gradual transitioning from a keto diet to Lumen's principles. So I am going to be following Lumen's principles specifically in regards to macronutrients like protein, carbohydrates, and fats, those amounts. But I figured I'd put it back into the keto mode because if I do that, it's going to be closer to what I want to be doing while I'm transitioning away from that for now, to see how that affects me and my metabolic flexibility. So we'll go ahead and save that, and I'll keep you posted as the days come.
I just wanted to catch you up with my Lumen experience. My overall experience with the Lumen so far has been good, but I've been blowing in it a lot during the day. And I will say that at some point I'm going to want to take a break from it. And that's why I'm going to say at this point that I could imagine to use this for a while, then not to use it, and then to check back in. But I do think so far that there's probably a lot to be learned from using something like this Lumen. And I also think that based upon the days that you wake up in fat burning mode, I can kind of see in a way a pattern of how I feel in the morning and almost guess more if I'm waking up in fat burning mode. At least I think that's what's happening. And from my understanding so far, waking up in fat burning mode is a sign of metabolic flexibility, which is a good thing. So I'll keep you posted as I go. I'm here to finalize this Lumen review. I've been using it for about 2 months now, so over 8 weeks. And I'm going to show you here in the app really quick so you can see how my metabolic flexibility actually went down since I started using the Lumen. So let's take a look at that right now.
So as you can see here, my flex score is down to 15, which is down from 18. So you can see my metabolic flexibility is lower. If we dive deeper here and look under flex score guides, understanding your score, you can see 15 to 21 is still considered high flexibility with all of the benefits that you can see here as a result. So it's not that I'm doing bad at a 15, but it is down. And just so you can see my weeks here and know that I did do this for more than 8 weeks, you can see all of the weeks here. And just to give you an idea of how well that I followed the carbohydrates recommendations for the last month, you can see that each of the days where there is a check mark are the days that I did meet the recommended carbohydrate intakes. And you can see that there's quite a bit of them. There were a few that I missed out on, but you can see that I did a pretty good job as opposed to before, what you're looking at now, when I wasn't following those recommendations so much.
Okay, so we started off with a negative. Now I want to go ahead and bring up some of the positives about the Lumen, and then maybe we'll give some final thoughts and talk about who this is for and who it's not for. First of all, in defense of the Lumen app, even though my metabolic flexibility went down while I was using it, there could probably be a few reasons for that. And one of those reasons is that even though in the last couple of weeks I had tried to get my carbohydrates really close to what the recommendations were, and I did do a pretty good job at that, and the protein was also pretty close to the recommendations for the most part, my fat was always more than what was recommended. In addition, Lumen recommends eating your carbohydrates more in the early part of the day and also after exercise, and I almost always had my carbohydrates in the evening time, and a lot of times right before bed, which is the least recommended by Lumen. So my metabolic flexibility might have went down because of that. In addition, I think that my metabolic flexibility could have went down because I had changed my diet throughout these 8 weeks quite a bit, which you know about if you've watched all the first part of this video. On a good note, in the last 8 weeks, I have lost just about 12 pounds while I was using the Lumen. I might have done that anyway, but one way or another, it's a fact that I lost 12 pounds, and Lumen may have helped me with that, especially since I was tracking so strictly. What's also positive about the Lumen is that I really did learn a totally different perspective of how to be healthy and how to be more metabolically flexible. I had kind of been going down the path of carbohydrates might not be necessary. Although I still believe that they could be, Lumen has definitely made me question that in a big way, especially when you're working out hard, doing some type of intense exercise. It might be beneficial to have a little bit more carbohydrates. I'm not 100% convinced about that, but I have opened myself up to the idea of having more carbohydrates, especially strategically having more carbohydrates, to see if I do feel better overall over the long time. I think it's very easy to get trapped in lots of different types of dogmas around how you should eat. Eating strict vegan, for example, eating strict carnivore, those might have some benefit for a period of time, but getting completely locked in, especially if it's just around the beliefs and not necessarily around how you're feeling, might make you less healthy over time. Now, I am biased towards a more animal-based approach, especially since I spent a long time being a vegan, and I feel like that is not ideal for anybody over a long period of time. But even with my biases around being more animal-based, I think strategically using carbohydrates could be a good thing. I have my own ideas of how I'd like to continue that, and I'm not necessarily going to base those completely on what I've learned from Lumen. I'm more excited about listening to my body based upon how I feel, and that brings me to kind of my concluding thoughts about Lumen, and that is that I think it is a great device for some people, especially people who really want to be coached and who really want to be told exactly what to do and who are willing to give Lumen enough input so that Lumen knows what to do with them. That does mean that you're going to probably want to start tracking your nutrition, whether it be in the Lumen app or a connected app like MyFitnessPal that you connect with your Lumen app. But the bottom line is that you're going to get the best feedback if you keep giving Lumen more information and if you blow into it multiple times per day, meaning post-meal, pre-meal, during fasting times, when you wake up in the morning especially. The more information that you give to Lumen, the better feedback it's going to give you. And if you really want to be coached, it even has meal plan suggestions, and maybe those meal plans would be very helpful for you if you don't want to think too much about what you're going to eat. You just want to have somebody tell you exactly what to eat. The one big downside of using the Lumen for me is that over time, especially after these 2 months, is that I feel like it does get kind of tedious after a while. I am ready for a break from using the Lumen. I will likely use it again and do some more serious tracking with it over some periods of time, but I do feel like using the Lumen has got me tracking my nutrition so well. I haven't missed a single day of tracking my foods, and now it seems like it will be an easy job to just keep tracking what I put into my body on a regular basis. A lot of people have had success using the Lumen. I do think the Lumen can be very helpful for people who are ready to commit and follow the recommendations that Lumen gives them, and I think it will teach you a lot about yourself. I do want to say one more thing, summing things up. As you've heard in this video, I was speculating about, am I burning carbs? Am I burning fat? And I thought that I kind of understood when I was burning fat what that meant and when I was burning more carbohydrates what that meant. And now I feel like I'm not sure if I really understand that. I feel like there are so many things going on in the body that you could be burning more carbohydrates or more fat and you might not know it. Also, you heard me mention that the lumen is not good for people who are trying to be in ketosis, and that is because people who are in ketosis might have a higher amount of CO2 in their breath, and that usually corresponds to burning more carbohydrates. So if you are in ketosis, then it could throw the readings off completely. So you've made it this far, and I hope you liked my updated review of this Lumen Metabolic Tracker. If you did like this review, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and share this video. If you want to help support this channel, please use the links in the description or scan the QR code in this video to purchase the Lumen. In addition, please use the coupon code that is showing in this video or that is also in the description of the video if you want to save a little bit on your Lumen when you actually get one. Also, in case you are going to be using the Lumen, let me go ahead and just conclude this video with how to connect MyFitnessPal and Apple Health to your Lumen application. That way, in case you decide to use the Lumen, connecting those apps will be an easy next step for you. I'm going to show you really quickly how to connect your Lumen to MyFitnessPal on an iPhone. Now you can do this on an Android phone as well, but you're going to be using Google Fit instead of Apple Health. So let's go ahead and go through it really quick so you can see exactly how to do it. First, you'll want to have MyFitnessPal and Apple Health on your iPhone, and you'll want to have MyFitnessPal and Google Fit on your Android phone. Next, go ahead and open up Apple Health. Then click on your profile up in the right hand corner, and under Privacy, click on Apps and Services. And then you can see here under MyFitnessPal, we're going to turn on all, and that means that we're going to allow the health app to read everything from MyFitnessPal and to write everything from MyFitnessPal. So once we've done that, we are going to go ahead and close that down, and we can open up our Lumen app. And in the right hand corner where the menu is on the bottom, click Menu if you're not already on it, and go to Settings. And under Settings, go to Connections. And under Connections, you can see I'm already connected to MyFitnessPal, but if I wasn't, I would say Connect. And I'm also going to connect to Apple Health. So I'll say Connect, and then I'll say Turn on All, the same as we did for MyFitnessPal, and we'll say Allow. And now you can see we are connected to both Apple Health and we are connected to MyFitnessPal. And then you should be able to see the data that comes from Apple Health through MyFitnessPal or Google Fit through MyFitnessPal inside Lumen. And I'll go ahead and show you now where to find that in Lumen. So from your menu in the right hand corner, you click on Nutrition, and then you say See All Data. And then you can see the days here. You can see that for today, it shows me how many carbs that I've had, how much fat I've had, and how much protein I've had. And then I can go to yesterday and I can see that as well. That's all there is to it. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching.